Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of NATO's Supreme Allied Commander Transformation, General Denis Messier, and Commander Joint Analysis and Lessons Learned Center, Brigadier General Mario Barreto, it is with great pleasure that we welcome you to today's ceremony in which the JALLC celebrates its 15th anniversary. We are honored today by the presence of His Excellency, the Portuguese President and Supreme Commander of the Portuguese Armed Forces, Marcelo Rebelo de Sousa. During today's ceremony, the JALLC's Commander, the Supreme Allied Commander Transformation, and His Excellency, the Portuguese President, will address the audience, commemorating today's milestone event. After their address, JALLC staff members will receive certificates of appreciation for their outstanding years of service. This will be followed by a medal ceremony in which 2 of our staff members will be recognized for their outstanding service. After the medals are presented, the NATO anthem will play, and this will conclude our ceremony. His Excellency, the Portuguese President, will preside over a plaque unveiling that will occur inside the JALLC. At that time, you are all cordially invited to proceed to the reception at the Monsanto Mess. Transportation will be provided. Upon playing of the Portuguese national anthem, military staff will salute, and civilian personnel please assume a respectful attitude. Parade the colors. Ladies and gentlemen, the Portuguese national anthem. Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, the Commander, Joint Analysis and Lessons Learned Center, Brigadier General Barreto.
Good morning. It is my great pleasure to welcome all of you to the 15th anniversary of the Joint Analysis Lessons Learned Center, the JALLC in Lisbon. But I'm sure our thoughts are with the people of Mexico and all those caught up in natural disasters happening all over the world at this moment. Your Excellency, the President of Portuguese Republic and Supreme Commander of the Portuguese Armed Forces, Marcelo Rebelo de Sousa, Supreme Allied Commander Transformation, General Mercier, Your Excellency, the Portuguese Ministry of Defense, José Alberto Azeredo Lopes, Chief of General Staff of the Portuguese Armed Forces, General Pina Monteiro, Portuguese Army Chief of Staff, Portuguese Navy Chief of Staff, and Vice Chief of Staff of Portuguese Air Force representing the Air Force Chief of Staff, Head of the Military House of the Portuguese President's Republic, Your Excellencies, the Ambassadors of Slovakia, Estonia, Czech Republic, Croatia, Canada, United Kingdom, Hungary, Greece, Belgium, Germany, Romania, Luxembourg, Poland, Turkey, Bulgaria, and United States of America, Embassy representatives of Italy, Spain, and France, NATO representatives of Joint Warfare Center, Joint Force Training Center, Strike for NATO, NATO Communications and Information Agency, Allied Commander Counterintelligence, distinguished guests, admirals, generals, JALC members, and families, ladies and gentlemen. To Your Excellency, the President of the Portuguese Republic and Supreme Commander of the Portuguese Armed Forces, Marcelo Rebelo de Sousa, we thank you very much for honoring us with your presence, giving this ceremony special meaning, and highlighting the importance of Portuguese contribution to NATO. Also, our thanks to Portugal, the excellent host nation for the past 15 years. Thank you. To the Supreme Allied Commander Transformation, General Denis Mercier, Mon Général, thank you, merci beaucoup, for honoring us with your presence, which is an opportunity to celebrate the past together and reflect on the future of the JALC. To the Portuguese authorities, civilian and military, thank you for the excellent support to the NATO community in Portugal. To the Portuguese Air Force, the local host and Portuguese support unit in Oeiras, Reduto Gomes Freire, thank you very much for the excellent cooperation and support given on a day-to-day basis. Also to include the NATO Communications and Information Agency, Strike for NATO, Allied Commander Counterintelligence, and all allies' national support elements present in Oeiras. Thank you all. To all your excellencies, honored guests, ladies and gentlemen, and of course, past and present members of the JALC and families, thank you for your presence in this ceremony. An anniversary is always an important event. It is an opportunity to look back at how far one has come and to look forward to where one is going. And we have come a long way since 2002, but we clearly still have far to go. For 15 years, the JALC has helped NATO to understand complex and enduring problems and recommended ways in which NATO can transform to improve its support to allies. For 15 years, the JALC has supported NATO Lessons Learned process, managing and maintaining the NATO Lessons Learned portal, the go-to database in NATO for all things related to learning from and sharing past experiences, organizing the NATO Lessons Learned Conference, and reaching out to NATO bodies, members, and partners in order to improve lessons learned capabilities and provide guidance on the NATO Lessons Learned process. For 15 years, the JALC has provided support to NATO exercises, guiding lessons collection and analysis at NATO exercises and training events, and developing the NATO exercises and training portal to ensure efficient and effective collection and analysis of valuable exercise and training-related data. Although the JALC is perhaps a backward-looking organization, in that it reviews events of the past, it remains a forward-thinking organization that takes those events and translates them into improvement and innovation for the future, which ultimately leads to transformation of the alliance for the allies. And so on this anniversary, the crystal anniversary of the JALC, and as part of NATO's Allied Command transformation, which is key to the future of the alliance, it seems appropriate to look to the future of the JALC, as we used to say, through our JALC crystal ball. 2002 doesn't seem that long ago, and yet the changing face of the global security threat environment means that needs of the allies are not the same as those when the JALC first opened its door 15 years ago. NATO, and therefore the JALC, must change to meet these needs. Today's threats are diverse in nature, and from futuristic cyber threats to flashbacks from the Cold War era, the Alliance has never been more relevant than it is now to global security, and it must learn lessons from its past to ensure it is capable of addressing the challenges of the future. This is where the JALC comes in and remains key to the evolution of the Alliance. As has been said by many people in the past, there can be no progress without change. The JALC stands for progress and is therefore ready for change as required to better support the Alliance and the allies in this challenging time. As I stand here today with all of you, with NATO Supreme Allied Commander, Transformation General Denis Mercier, and His Excellency the President of the Portuguese Republic, Marcelo Rebelo de Sousa, representing respectively the Alliance and one of its long-standing allies, Portugal, the JALC's host nation, I believe that together we represent the future of NATO, standing strong together. We are allies, we are strong, we are NATO. And it just remains for me to wish the JALC a very happy birthday. Thank you for your attention.
Ladies and gentlemen, Supreme Allied Commander Transformation, General Mercier.
Mr. President, Mr. Minister, Ambassadors, Generals, Admirals, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, it is a great honor and an immense pleasure to celebrate with you the 15th anniversary of the Joint Analysis and Lessons Learned Center here in the beautiful city of Lisbon. As a founding member, Portugal has been a steadfast and reliable ally ever since the creation of the Alliance in 1949, and a home to several NATO entities over the years. Today, in addition to JALC, Portugal hosts Strike for NATO, the Alliance's primary maritime battle staff operational command, and will soon be home to a new NATO academy which will train information technology specialists, including cyber experts, to deal with the threats stemming from an increasingly complex environment. NATO's footprint in Portugal illustrates the necessity for our alliance to operate and adapt at the same time. And Mr. President, I want to seize the opportunity of your presence among us today to express my sincere gratitude for the support of the Portuguese nation and the hospitality of its people. The necessity to operate and adapt is acknowledged in the adaptation of our NATO command structure, in which the JALC is expected to play an important role. As the Allied Command Transformation focuses its efforts on warfare development activities, our role will be to ensure that the Alliance is ready to meet any challenge that may come in the foreseeable future. JALC may be a young institution, but its ability to collect and analyze data and to process the lessons we identify in operations or exercises is invaluable. The parentage of the JALC dates back to the Permanent Analysis Team, a NATO organization stationed in the United Kingdom that had been in charge of operational analysis of maritime exercises since the late 1970s. This entity contributed to NATO's deployment in Bosnia in the 1990s to process and analyze operational data. This evolution led to the conclusion that a joint military body to collect and process data from operations and exercises was necessary for the alliance. This lesson identified actually became a lesson learned, and in 2002, the JALC was founded here in Portugal. Over the last 15 years, the JALC has continued to evolve to match the evolutions of our strategic context, gradually extending its responsibilities across the alliance. And now, as we are going through the adaptation of the NATO command structure, following the decisions of the Warsaw Summit last year, the JALC has to adapt again. In the current strategic context, NATO will face increasingly demanding challenges and engagements. The JALC has to shift its focus towards lessons learned and to use modern tools to process and analyze data drawn from all our activities. In this development, how we identify many parameters from our operations and exercises and translate them into relevant data for future analytics will be critical. It will require different sets of expertise, but building a common source of data ready to use the tools of the 21st century will allow the alliance to enhance its collective ability to learn from experience. This is the reasoning behind the creation of an alliance-wide lessons learned portal. It is a challenging but necessary endeavor. By creating a shared database for the benefit of the alliance as a whole, but also of our partners and other international organizations, we will be able to connect and leverage the expertise acquired in the field from various sources and to learn from it. As the JALC new shield illustrates, with the all whose wings remain an open book, this center's vocation is to share knowledge and wisdom while moving forward to prepare the engagements of tomorrow. I know that the center is up to the challenge, which is why I will ask more of it. I commend you for the incredible work you have done over the last 15 years, and I express my full confidence in your individual and collective ability to challenge yourself, surpass your reputation of excellence, and make the JALC the reference for the lessons learned in NATO and beyond. Long live the JALC. Thank you for your attention.
Ladies and gentlemen, His Excellency, the Portuguese President and Supreme Commander of the Portuguese Armed Forces, Marcelo Rebelo de Sousa.
Mr. Minister of Defense, Supreme Allied Commander Transformation, General Mercier, Chief of General Staff of the Portuguese Armed Forces, Portuguese Army Chief of Staff, Portuguese Navy Chief of Staff, and Portuguese Air Force Vice Chief of Staff, dear ambassadors, JALC Commander, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. There are different theories concerning the real reason for Portugal to join the Atlantic Alliance. Maybe we'll never know exactly why. It could have been a strategic move, geopolitical interests, ethics, or beliefs, or all together. Nevertheless, we can say that we are proud of being one of the founding members of NATO, a group of countries that stood up against the threats which could have hampered our way of life. Presidents can change, governments can change, parliamentary majorities can change, Portuguese commitment in NATO won't change. Since those early days, Portugal has a long-standing contribution to the alliance. Portuguese soldiers, sailors, and airmen have long served under the NATO flag, where and when needed, participating in all major alliance operations and exercises, helping to fulfill NATO's mission, securing the alliance borders. Time has shown that NATO is not only a common defense alliance. The organization plays the role of a guardian for the principles that guide our lives. The rule of law, the rule of dialogue, the rule of tolerance, the rule of respect for the human life, and so many others that keep driving our path. Therefore, NATO is more than the nations, more than the soldiers fighting together side by side. And for sure, is more than a joint military capability. NATO is a vision of a better and safer world. Recently, we have heard voices stating that NATO is no longer relevant, that NATO was raised in peculiar times that no longer exist, that NATO has become obsolete. I believe we can all agree that times have changed, yes, but the alliance has changed too, as it always has done and will continue to do so, adjusting all its processes in accordance with the status quo. I should say that it is this ability to adapt and improve that makes the alliance more relevant than ever, taking under consideration that the ever-changing global security threat environment we have today and expect in the near future. The alliance is a paramount cornerstone in order to maintain and develop our strength. Concerning the need for adaptation, Portugal clearly complies with the decisions taken at the Wales and Warsaw summits. Indeed, Portugal participated in the first very high readiness joint task forces, delivered units to enhance NATO response forces, and contributed to the assurance measures in the Baltic region and Romania. In fact, recently, Portugal co-hosted Trident Juncture 15, one of the largest high-visibility NATO exercises ever conducted. Moreover, if we take a glance on the 360-degree approach, which resulted from a new defense and security world model based on terrorism, cyber war, increasing level of threat from the east, and the humanitarian crisis coming from the south, we may see that this new model drives Portugal to the middle of a new geopolitical strategy. This new model has been, I'm sure, a great concern for JALC, also because transformation is urgently required. Our contribution to the alliance does not stop here. We are honored to host the Strike for NATO and the Joint Analysis and Lessons Learned Center, JALC, on our territory. And we are looking forward to welcome NATO Communications and Information Agency Academy in 2019. Today, however, we celebrate JALC's 15th anniversary and pay tribute to all that have been developing this center ever since. In fact, since 2002, reflecting the need for change and renovation, this center has played an important and decisive role in NATO transformation. I would also like to emphasize, as JALC is part of the Allied Command transformation, the key role played by this command in successfully promoting and leading initiatives envisioned to transform NATO's military structure, its forces, capabilities, and doctrine, whilst granting the indispensable interoperability throughout the alliance. The excellence, you said, the excellence achieved by this strategic command in areas such as education, training and exercises, as well as the assessment of new concepts, has to be recognized and praised. JALC itself is a good example of how NATO adjusts and evolves, observing the allies' changing needs. Looking back in time, JALC was originally conceived to mainly perform exercise analysis. Due to changes regarding NATO environment and NATO involvement in operations, JALC mission was revised and shifted to operations and major NATO response force exercises. Gradually, JALC has become engaged in a wide range of activities, such as analysis of complex NATO-wide issues, analysis of lessons identified from operations and exercises, providing training and education opportunities across the organization, maintaining and managing the NATO Lessons Learned portal, always with the focus at enhancement of NATO forces and capabilities. These fairly small headquarters on the crossroad between North America and Europe has a big impact on how the alliance is moving forward. Your dedicated and proficient work, fighting a never-ending battle against the everlasting need for transformation, is highly appreciated by the alliance. If you win the battle, like so many other units are required to do so, NATO will win the war. A peaceful war, but a key war. Today we celebrate a job well done, the good memories you carry from the past, and above all, the confidence we all have on you when facing the upcoming challenges. So, on behalf of the Portuguese nation, I mean of all Portuguese citizens, I want to congratulate and cheer those military and civilian that serve NATO in this prestigious center on this joyful day that celebrates your 15th anniversary. NATO can be proud of you. We Portuguese are proud of you.
Ladies and gentlemen, we will now present certificates of appreciation for outstanding service at the JALC. For 15 years of service, we call Ms. Christina Coswig. For 15 years of service, we call Mr. Manuel Martins. For 15 years of service, we call Mr. Paulo da Silva. For 10 years of service, we call Mr. David Peixoto. For 5 years of service, we call Lieutenant Colonel Paulo Silva. For 5 years of service, we call Mr. Murat Sahin. For 5 years of service, we call Mr. Christian Pileski. For 5 years of service, we call Mr. Pedro Reis. For 5 years of service, we call Mr. Felipe Vieira. For 5 years of service, we call Mr. Stefan Olaru. For 5 years of service, we call Ms. Vera Ribeiro. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise. Ladies and gentlemen, we will now present 2 medals for outstanding service at the JALC. The medals will be presented by His Excellency, the Portuguese President and Supreme Commander of the Portuguese Armed Forces. The first medal is the Medal of Distinguished Services. The Portuguese Medal of Distinguished Services awards military staff for relevant services of a military nature or extraordinary actions of any nature that are considered illustrious and result in honor for Portugal and for the Portuguese military institutions. This medal is awarded to Lieutenant Colonel Paulo Gonçalves, Portuguese Air Force. The next medal is the Medal of Cruz de São Jorge. The Portuguese Medal of Cruz de São Jorge awards individuals that have distinguished themselves by their professional skills, competencies, and professional qualities, having significantly contributed to the prestige of the unit they serve and the Portuguese Chief of Defense-related staff. This medal is awarded to Ms. Jody Lazelle, United Kingdom, Civilian Staff Member, JALC. Ladies and gentlemen, please remain standing for the retrieval of colors and the playing of the NATO anthem representing the 29 allied nations. Upon playing of the NATO anthem, military personnel will salute, and civilian personnel please assume a respectful attitude. Retrieve the colors. Ladies and gentlemen, the NATO anthem.